As I said earlier, the majority of Beatle people date the start of the really big crowds to the Beatles' return from Sweden on October the 31st, 1963. At London Airport for the BBC was reporter Reg Abbas.
What confusion here at London Airport. Hundreds and hundreds of young Beatle fans shouting, yelling, waving umbrellas and hats, shouting for their heroes, the four young men in dark clothes who've just disembarked from the huge white and blue twin-jet airliner which has flown them from Stockholm. There's a crowd of photographers at the back of the plane. All the passengers came out first. This caused mounting excitement. The flashbulbs are going, 40 or 50 photographers, a lot of airline officials, and now there's quite a crash at the bottom of the steps at the rear of the plane. Scores of people down there with the flashbulbs going as the Beatles try to force their way through. Massive security precautions here to bring them to the main building. The fans are virtually going wild here on the balcony. They're shouting and yelling, and they're having a wonderful time despite the pouring rain. Now the Beatles are making their way towards the main terminal. They're waving and smiling at the crowds. They're wearing shorty black overcoats. The Beatle haircuts stand out for all to see amidst the milling throng down there. And now comes the rush. Hundreds of fans rushing over the roof of the Queen's building here to the exits to get downstairs and see their idols off the airport.
On November the 4th, 1963, they achieved the show business accolade, appearing before the Queen at the Royal Variety performance at the Prince of Wales Theatre. Peter Woods went to interview the Beatles and asked Paul if the honour of being booked on such a show hadn't happened rather quickly.
Yes, it's been very quick, and we have been very lucky. Yeah.
How much of this is getting popularity by acting the fool a bit and playing around?
Well, I mean, that's just natural. We don't do it, we do it anyway, whether we're on stage or
Your funny
not.
haircuts aren't natural.
Oh, we don't think they're funny, you see, copper.
As far as playing your type of music is concerned, is this a new thing, do you think, Ringer?
No, not really. We just play how we can, and the sound we make is just us. And it seems to be selling at the moment. So.
It's rock.
It is rock, yeah,
rock
as
and
John
roll.
said, but
George, can I turn to you now? How long do you think you're going to be successful? You've had this monumental rise. Obviously, this sort of thing can't go on, but do you think you can settle down to a life in show business?
Well, we're hoping to. I mean, not necessarily a life in show business, but at least a couple more
A
years.
long run.
Yeah.
Mr. Edward Heath, the Lord Privy Seal, has said that the other night he found it difficult to distinguish what you were saying as Queen's English. Now,
Oh, yeah.
are you going to try and lose some of your Liverpool dialect for the Royal Show?
No,
We
you're
just won't
kidding.
vote for it.
No. No, we wouldn't bother doing that. We don't all speak like them BBC posh fellas,
No, we don't.
Come, we don't.
No.
Right up, no.
Well, with that, I better wish you good luck in the show. What song will you be singing most there, do you think?
Well, I don't know, but I should imagine we'd do She Loves You.
Jolly good.
Jolly good.
And they did. George Harrison of the Liverpool Echo.
The odd thing about it was, as far as I recall, that there were so many kids outside wanting the Beatles that the whole show, Bruce Forsyth was comparing it, and you could hardly hear him speaking from the stage of the theatre for the shouts from the screams of thousands of kids outside. We want the Beatles, we want the Beatles. And that was the show when, of course, the crack was made by John Lennon that became headlines all over the world. You'll remember it so well, no doubt, that before they introduced a particular number, he came to the mic and said, "Now, those of you at the back, clap your hands, and those in front, rattle your jewelry." And it became such a gag that everybody thought it was fantastic. But I can tell you this, quietly, that gag had been prepared long before. It had been worked out because they'd said to each other, well, we can't just use the normal corny routine of clap your hands and this kind of stuff. We have to do something. And John said, well, why don't I tell them to rattle their jewellery? And that was how it all began. But it did go. It went everywhere throughout the world. They thought that was great. And, of course, the royal family thought it was great, too.
Some years later, John Lennon told a journalist that he'd never really wanted to appear on that show.
I was embarrassed about it, and Brian said, if you don't take it, nobody will ever know you refused it. The same as nobody ever knows the Beatles have refused every Royal Variety performance since the one we did. Every year they asked us, and every year the press was saying, what, no Beatles this year? And every year Brian went through hell telling Lou Grade we wouldn't do it. Brian was on his knees saying, please do the Royal Variety. I'm getting so much pressure from Lou and the rest of them. Please do the Royal Variety. And we said, we've done them all, you know. We only did it once of everything, tour of the world. Once of each was enough, you know.